Welcome to Retro Relics. I'm Skylar, and today is another episode of Relyks Collects, but it's a little bit different. Instead of actually going out and doing the whole shopping video, B-roll, and coming back here and showing you the games I got, today I'm going to be answering a question. Now, whether any of you have asked this recently or have already answered it yourselves, I'm here for those. Maybe you just searched up and found this channel, or maybe you were wondering this question, and that is, where should I, or who should I, buy a retro console from? Now, there are plenty of different resellers out there. There's eBay, for one. There's GameStop. Hell, you can even find some at Best Buy. And, of course, there's always Facebook Marketplace. Now, that's not one that I have ever tried before, but I can say that I've heard of people having success on there, and a lot of people recommend it. I, for one, have preferred eBay so far, and I'm going to go over a couple of purchases that I made from there. One, I bought my first retro console. I'll say my first. I've owned one before, but that is my current Xbox 360, my current working Xbox 360. It was a fine transaction. I paid, pull this up, $96 for that one. These numbers have been rounded down or up based on how close they were. I think that was fine. Now, at the time, market value, and I double checked this today, is around 130 to 180, depending on condition, which model, etc. That being said, $96 ain't very bad. It was advertised to be, I think, an 80 gig or something like, or 120 gig, whatever like pro model was at the time. Ended up not having a hard drive in it at all, which I left the review saying, yeah, yada, but it was still in exactly the condition that I expected it to be in because they had detailed photos of what it looked like and what was wrong with it. I think the only thing that I found wrong with it was a small scuff on the faceplate, and one of the vent fins was cracked, but it wasn't shown in the photo. Or it wasn't, I didn't see it. And that's the thing. There'll be very minute deals if condition is a thing for you. Now, some people want a refurbished console because they want it to look a certain way. I do, to an extent, want it to be aesthetically pleasing. I don't want them to be completely banged up, but I'm okay with a couple of scuffs that don't show when they're in their little entertainment console spot, cubbyhole, their home. That being said, I think that it is important to get a refurbished console is going to last you longer. If you're spending 130 to 180, I think that it should be a really good refurbishment. Or 200, I've seen some pretty high up there depending on what's been done to them. So then you got to do your research. There are certain companies that certainly don't do a very good job refurbishing. The other thing you can do is pre-owned, which I approve of. That Xbox 360 was pre-owned, and at some point in time, I went through it and I took pieces off and stuff like that, and I found a sticker that showed that it had been indeed refurbished by GameStop at one point in time. How good was that refurbishment? I could dive into the details. There are some that say they don't do much at all other than clean it. Some say that they take it apart and redo the thermal paste, which really good refurbishers or resellers do that. The other console that I bought off of eBay was a PlayStation 4, and I recently bought that. I had a really good experience. I found a good reseller that had a lot of good reviews. Again, if you're buying on eBay, make sure that the seller has a plentiful transaction history, just like you would buying any product. I'm not going to go into the full details of how you should shop online when it comes to secondhand. I think most people know how to use eBay or Amazon at this point. That being said, just be wary of that. And when you're looking at the reviews, some resellers will sell just about anything. So just try to see if they've sold any electronics before. So with the PlayStation 4, it was refurbished, and I don't know, the seller doesn't go into great details about the refurbishment, but they do say that they take it apart and clean it thoroughly, make sure that it's working, and fix anything that's wrong with it, or they sell it and red tape show you exactly what's wrong with it, and they price it accordingly. Find sellers like that. This seller I was actually going to buy my Xbox One as well through. We'll get to that in a second. The PlayStation 4 was in the exact condition that they said it was in. It had one scuff on it, but otherwise looked completely new except for a couple of dusty USB ports, which I'm not going to shake a fist at. I got a working 1 terabyte PlayStation 4 Slim for under market value. So again, I'm not planning on flipping this, but if you were, that's great. I personally am not a reseller, and I don't plan on doing that. I've had dreams about doing a game store, but I don't think that I have any business doing that because they're really, truth be told, you're not making a whole lot of profit. That being said, I just try to make a good collection for myself. I've been trying to make a big tower entertainment center of the consoles that I want to enjoy, and I want to do that on a budget. So maybe you too are looking to buy consoles at a good budget. On to my next purchase. I bought from GameStop. Believe it or not, theirs was exactly at market value. I paid $238 for it. Right now you can find a pristine, good condition one anywhere from $235 to $318, and as low as $180 if you're okay with them being banged up. I was not okay with that. I wanted it to be in decent condition because I am collecting. So with being a collector, I want it to be in somewhat acceptable condition, enough that it doesn't look like it was beat up in someone's garage at some point. That being said, I did not buy it off their website. I bought it in their store. I got on the app and I searched refurbished. There was none in my area. I searched pre-owned. Now, I was mentioning that earlier. I searched pre-owned and found it in the GameStop just down the street from me. So I went in and I kindly asked, can I see it first? Can you open the box and show me it? They were perfectly cool with that. So she went back there and came out, opened up the box, showed me everything, let me hold it, let me look around at it, and it was in fantastic condition. Would highly recommend, if you see one at GameStop and you want one in good condition, and you don't want to deal with an eBay seller that might be hiding it and you can't actually look at it yourself, if they have one in stock at GameStop, go down there, ask if you can look at it. If they're nice enough, they may not, I might have gotten lucky, but if they're nice enough, they'll let you look at it first before you buy it, and you can make a decision based on that and make an educated decision at that, which I think is important when you're spending, $200-300. I don't think that I would ever buy off of their website just because that's a shot in the dark, which I had another game store in town that I went to. They wanted me to pay full price up front. It's still being refurbished. It's still being worked on. It'll be done in a week or less, but I don't get to see what I'm looking at or what I'm purchasing until I get it. Now, I assumed that it would have been in pretty good condition because I do trust them to an extent, but I wasn't willing to spend that much money without knowing exactly what I was getting, which I ended up buying that console, a PlayStation 4 Slim, off of eBay because I could see exactly what I'm getting. They had photos of everything, every corner, every crevice of it, any defect or blemish that was on it, they took a photo of and showed it. So I knew exactly what I was getting, and I paid a price for it that I thought was worth it. It wasn't at market value. So if you're buying from someone online or store at market value and they don't want to show you it is what you're getting, skip. Just go ahead and buy off of eBay from a seller that's showing you exactly what it is. If you're okay with something that's beat up and blemished, at least pay the price that it's worth. It truly is $40 less, in my opinion. You should be able to buy something, a car's banged up at the dealership, it's been in an accident or has a dent on it, they're going to price it lower than what it's actually valued. I did also buy a PlayStation 3 from that same place, and it was complete in box. It had definitely been used. It had some scuffs on it, but I wasn't mad. I got a PlayStation 3 in box, and all the manuals, everything was still in there. It had one scuff on it. Looks like it may have been used a little bit in someone's bedroom. Maybe it went through a move. It was in decent condition. With all my rambling, the point that I'm trying to get across here is that you can have a good or bad experience anywhere. If you go to GameStop, buy in person. If you go to a game store, ask them if they'll show it to you first. Buy the one that's on the shelf. Ask to look at it, or at least it's right there in front of you. Ask what the refurbishing procedures are like. My thing is, if you're buying it for the full price of market value, then you should at least be able to know what condition it's in and if it's been refurbished. If you're buying under market value and those things aren't a big deal to you, I don't mind spending $96 on an Xbox 360 that I might replace in 2 years if there's something wrong with it, as long as it's in decent condition. I think you should buy conveniently, advantageously, and affordably. So if you have a budget, try to stay in it. If you do have a budget, do you care about what it looks like? Do you care what kind of cosmetic condition it's in? Ask for refurbishment history, what their practices are for refurbishing, if you are paying full price. So that's totally up to you. If you're okay with getting someone's banged up Xbox, maybe not spend $200 on it. If you are spending $200, maybe make sure what you're getting is worth your money. I hope that helps. Maybe that answers some of your questions. And by all means, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. And until then, go relax, replay one of your favorite retro relics.